All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping straight into the deep end, talking about one of the most mind-bending topics out there, the truly wild, reality-shattering ideas about parallel universes.
So let's kick things off with a question that honestly isn't just for sci-fi anymore. I mean, what if, right now, as you're listening to this, there's another you out there? It sounds crazy, but physicists and philosophers are seriously chewing on this idea, that there are other versions of you living out all the choices you didn't make.
So, our story starts here, right? The Big Bang. 13.7 billion years ago, an unimaginable explosion. But here's the thing. The theory itself kind of hints that there's more to the story. It describes the start of our universe, sure. But what if it was just one firework in a much, much bigger cosmic show?
Now, one of the weirdest and honestly one of the most popular ideas about a multiverse doesn't come from looking up at the stars. Nope. It comes from the impossibly tiny, super strange world of quantum physics.
Okay, so check this out. The famous double-slit experiment. You fire a tiny particle, like an electron, at a wall with two slits. If you don't watch it, it acts like a wave and somehow goes through both slits at once. But, and this is the part that breaks your brain, the second you put a detector there to see which slit it goes through, poof, the wave is gone. It just acts like a normal little particle and picks one path. It's like reality is waiting for us to look before it makes up its mind. But what if it doesn't have to choose? What if reality itself just splits?
And that brings us to this really radical idea called the many worlds interpretation. It says the electron never chooses at all. Instead, the entire universe splits in two. In one universe, it went left, and in another, brand new parallel universe, it went right. Every possibility happens.
You can kind of picture it like an amoeba splitting. Before a choice is made, there's one you, one reality. But after that choice, and it could be anything, a quantum event or you just picking coffee over tea this morning, reality branches off. Now there are two universes. They have the exact same past right up until that moment, but from then on, their futures are completely different. And if you think about it, that means there's a universe for every single possible outcome, ever.
And believe it or not, the theories get even bigger than that. Take M-theory, which is one of the top contenders for a theory of everything. It suggests that our whole universe is like a giant 3D sheet, they call it a brain, just floating around in a higher dimension. In this model, our Big Bang wasn't the beginning of everything. It was just a cosmic car crash, the moment our brain collided with another one. Imagine two massive sheets just slapping together, and that energy spark creates a whole new universe. This could be happening all the time, just churning out parallel worlds.
Okay, so we've got these huge physical multiverses from the world of physics. But what if the other universes aren't physical places at all? What if they're digital? This next idea takes us out of cosmology and drops us right into computer code. And it asks a question that's honestly pretty unsettling. What if our reality is just a simulation? So the whole thing really hinges on this brilliant argument by the philosopher Nick Bostrom. It's called the trilemma. He says one of these three things has to be true. Option one, humanity just doesn't make it. We go extinct before we ever get to a post-human stage where our technology is basically magic. Option two, any civilization that does get that advanced just isn't interested in running simulations of their past. Maybe it's boring, maybe it's unethical, who knows? Or option three, if you think options 1 and 2 are pretty unlikely, then the only thing left is that advanced civilizations are running tons and tons of these ancestor simulations. And if there are billions of simulated worlds for every one real world, well, you do the math. The odds are overwhelming that we're in one of them right now.
And the logic here is so powerful that a lot of very smart people take it very seriously. I mean, as this quote says, it kind of forces us to think about a creator or, a programmer in a way that's all about logic and probability, not faith.
All right, so let's just go with it for a second. Let's say we are living inside a giant computer program. What does that actually mean for us day to day? Does it change anything?
Well, the implications are absolutely staggering. Suddenly, a creator is just a programmer. The laws of physics we think are so fundamental, like gravity, they might just be lines of code that could be updated or even deleted. Those terrible things we call natural disasters, earthquakes, diseases, they might not be natural at all. They could be programmed events. It even makes you wonder if long-term planning is pointless. I mean, what if the simulators are just going to shut the program off in 2050? And, of course, our entire world would be just one of countless parallel simulations running at the same time.
But here's where it gets really chilling. This whole idea comes with a pretty serious warning. If we're characters in a game, what happens if we start trying to hack the game?
It's a really terrifying thought, right? A philosopher named Preston Green argues that trying to prove we're in a simulation could be the single most dangerous experiment humanity could ever possibly run.
Yeah, it's called termination risk. So why would our simulators shut us down? Well, maybe if we figure it all out, it ruins the whole point of their experiment. Or, here's another one. What if we start running our own ancestor simulations? Maybe that starts to use up too much of their cosmic computing power, and they just pull the plug to free up resources. It's the ultimate paradox. Our search for the truth could get us deleted.
Okay, so if the simulation theory messes with our idea of reality, this last idea, it messes with our idea of our own existence. Forget being code. What if you aren't even real right now? What if your mind and every single memory you have just flickered into existence a second ago out of pure random chaos?
So here's the bizarre logic. In certain models of a universe that goes on forever, it's actually statistically way easier for a single conscious brain to randomly pop into existence out of chaos than it is for a whole orderly universe like ours to form and evolve beings like us. These Boltzmann brains would flash into existence for a split second, totally convinced they lived an entire life, and then just dissolve back into nothing. And if those models are right, the universe should be packed with these things, which makes it statistically more likely that you are one of them and not a real person who evolved over billions of years.
But thankfully, this idea might just be a paradox that collapses under its own weight. A lot of philosophers point out that to even have the idea of a brain or a hallucination, you first need a real orderly world to compare it to, right? How can you be a random brain floating in chaos if the very definition of a brain depends on the orderly laws of physics that you're saying don't apply to you? It's like the argument saws off the very logical branch it's sitting on.
And so, that leaves us with this ultimate mystery. From the infinite branching realities of the quantum multiverse to the nested digital worlds of the simulation argument, science and philosophy are really forcing us to ask a radical question. Is the reality we know the only one? The question isn't just, are we alone in the universe anymore? It's, is this universe alone? What do you think?